वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वगतः कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदयन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विद्नोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवय भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, Text 36 and 37. Aho mamami vitarantyanagraham Harim Gurum Yagyabhujam Adishwaram Swadharma Yogena Yajanti Mamaka Nirantaram Kshonitale Dridhavrataha. Aho mamami vitarantyanagraham Harim Gurum Yagyabhujam Adishwaram Swadharmayogena yajanti mamaka Nirantaram Kshonitale Dridhavrataha. Aho mamami vitarantyanagraham Harim Gurum Yagyabhujam Adishwaram Swadharmayogena yajanti mamaka Nirantaram Kshonitale Dridhavrataha. Synonyms: Aho, O all of you, Mama, unto me, Ami, all of them, Vitaranti, distributing, Anugraham, mercy, Harim, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Gurum, the Supreme Spiritual Master, Yajna Bhujam, all the demigods eligible to accept Yajna offerings, Adishwaram, the Supreme Master, Swadharma, occupational duties, Yogena, by the dint of, Yajanti, worship, Mamakaha, having a relationship with me, Nirantaram, incessantly, Kshonitale, on the surface of the globe, Dridhavrataha, the firm determination. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master and enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices, and He is the Supreme Spiritual Master as well. All of you citizens on the surface of the globe who have a relationship with me and are worshipping Him by the dint of your occupational duties are bestowing your mercy upon me. Therefore, O citizens, I thank you. Purport. Maharaj Prithu's advice to his citizens to take to devotional service is now concluded in two ways. He has repeatedly advised persons who are neophytes to engage themselves in devotional service according to the capacities of different orders of social and spiritual life. But here, he specifically thanks those already engaged in such devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is actually the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies and who is also the supreme teacher as Antaryami or Paramatma. There is specific mention of the word Gurum, which indicates the Supreme Personality as Chaitya Guru. The Supreme Godhead in his Paramatma feature is present in everyone's heart, and he is always trying to induce the individual soul to surrender unto him and to engage in devotional service. Therefore, he is the original spiritual master. He manifests himself as spiritual master both internally and externally to help the conditioned soul both ways. Therefore, he has been mentioned herein as Gurum. It appears, however, that in the time of Maharaj Prithu, all the people on the surface of the globe were his subjects. Most of them, in fact, almost all of them, were engaged in devotional service. Therefore, he thanked them in a humble way for engaging in devotional service and thus bestowing their mercy upon him. In other words, in a state where the citizens and the head of the state are engaged in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they help one another and are mutually benefited. Text 37. Majatu tejah prabhavenmahariddhives titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha dedipyamane jitadevatanam kule swayam rajakuladvijanam. Majatu tejah prabhavenmahariddhives तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानाम् मा जातु तेजः प्रभवेन्महारिद्धिभिस्तितिक्षया तपसा विद्यया च देदीप्यमाने जितदेवतानां कुले स्वयं राजकुलाद्विजानाम्. Synonyms: Ma, never do it. Jatu, at any time. Tejaha, supreme power. Prabhavet, exhibit. Maha, great. Riddhibihi, by opulence. titikshaya by tolerance, tapasa, penance, vidyaya by education, cha also, dedipyamane, upon those who are already glorified, ajita devatanam, Vaishnavas or the devotees of Supreme Personality of Godhead, kule in the society, swayam personality, rajakulat greater than the royal family, dvijanam of the Brahmanas. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. The Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are personally glorified by their characteristic powers of tolerance, penance, knowledge, and education. By dint of these spiritual assets, Vaishnavas are more powerful than royalty. It is therefore advised that the princely order not exhibit its material prowess before these two communities and should avoid offending them. Purport. Prithu Maharaja has explained in the previous verse the importance of devotional service for both the rulers and the citizens of the state. Now he explains how one can be steadily fixed in the devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, has compared the devotional service of the Lord with a creeper. A creeper has a feeble stem and requires the support of a tree to grow. While growing, it requires sufficient protection so that it may not be lost. While describing the system of protection for the creeper of the devotional service, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has especially stressed protection from the offenses unto the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. Such offenses are called Vaishnava Aparadha. Aparadha means offense. If one commits Vaishnava Aparadhas, all of his progress in devotional service will be checked. Even though one is very much advanced in the devotional service, if he commits offenses at the feet of a Vaishnava, his advancement is all spoiled. In the Shastras, it is found that a very great yogi, Durvasa Muni, committed a Vaishnava Parada and thus for one full year had to travel all over the universe, even to Vaikuntha Loka, to defend himself from the offense. At last, even when he approached the Supreme Personality of God in Vaikuntha, he was refused protection. Therefore, one should be very careful about committing offenses at the feet of Vaishnava. The most grievous type of Vaishnava Aparad is called Guru Aparada, which refers to the offenses to the lotus at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. In chanting of the holy name of Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Guru Aparadha is considered the most grievous offense. Gurur Avijña Shruti Nindanam. Among the 10 offenses committed against the chanting of the holy name, the first offenses are disobedience of spiritual master and the blasphemy of the Vedic literature. The simple definition of Vaishnava is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A person who immediately reminds one of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is a Vaishnava. In this verse, both Vaishnavas and Brahmanas are mentioned. A Vaishnava is a learned Brahmana and is therefore designated as Brahmana Vaishnava, Brahmana Pandita, or as Vaishnava and a Brahmana. In other words, a Vaishnava is supposed to be a Brahmana already, but a Brahmana may not be a pure devout Vaishnava. When a person understands his pure identity, Brahma Jnanati, he immediately becomes a Brahmana. In the Brahmana stage, one's understanding of the absolute truth is mainly based on impersonal view. When a Brahmana, however, rises to the platform of personal understanding of the Supreme Godhead, he becomes a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is transcendental even to a Brahmana. In the material conception, the position of a Brahmana is highest in the human society, but a Vaishnava is transcendental even to a Brahmana. Both the Brahmana and Vaishnava are spiritually advanced. The Brahmana's qualifications are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita as truthfulness, mental equanimity, control of the senses, power of tolerance, simplicity, knowledge of the absolute truth, firm faith in scriptures, and application of Brahmanical qualities in life. In addition to all these qualifications, when one fully engages in transcendental loving service of the Lord, he becomes a Vaishnava. Prithu Maharaj warns his citizens who are actually engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he become a Vaishnava. Prithu Maharaj wants his citizens who are actually engaged in devotional service of the Lord to take care against offenses to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Offenses at their lotus feet are so destructive that even the descendants of Yadu, who were born in the family of Lord Krishna, were destroyed due to the offenses at their feet. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot tolerate any offense at the lotus feet of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Sometimes, due to their powerful positions, princes or government servants neglect the position of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, not knowing that because of their offense they will be ruined. ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्य पाष्टादेश तरणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे I humbly bow down to all the Simul Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. So today we are in the Canto 4, Chapter 21, text 36 and 37. So this chapter is titled Instructions by Maharaj Prithu. So Maharaj Prithu is is giving his instructions, and in that context, he's talking about a very deep subject matter in these two verses. So let's break it down. Srila Prabhupada has given a very elaborate purport on these two topics. So in the first 36th verse, Srila Prabhupada specifically talks about the advice given by Maharaj Prithu to his citizens. So first, in the previous verses, Maharaj Prithu has advised that the people who are neophytes are who are starting on this process of devotional service engage in their social order based on their guna and karma, and start and render devotional service in that capacity, and because of that gradually they will be elevated. And then here he's actually thanking, in this verse he's thanking those who are already doing devotional service, because they are representing him and performing devotional service, and it's benefiting both the king and the praja and the kingdom as well. So he's thanking them. So that's the 36th verse. In the purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada picks on a couple of important words from the shloka. So here the word guru, or the spiritual master, is taken, and Srila Prabhupada talks about how Krishna exists as the Chaitya Guru, as the Guru in the heart. And the Krishna is also, Srila Prabhupada explains, Guru is the Guru Tattva, the representation of Krishna is not only as Chaitya Guru, but also as the physical Guru is also a representative of Krishna. So that's a very important point Srila Prabhupada makes here. And I got reminded of one verse from Kunti Maharani. So Kunti Maharani says, Vipada Santuta Sashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yatsyat Apunar Bhava Darshanam. So the word Jagat Guru is being utilized by Kunti Maharani to address Lord Krishna. She says Jagat Guru. So Jagat Guru is the spiritual master for everybody, and that name goes to Krishna because Krishna is the original spiritual master for everybody, and he exists in the heart as the Chaitya Guru. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we learn that Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto Matasmritar Jnanam Apohanam Cha. So Krishna exists in everybody's heart, and because of him, we get remembrance and forgetfulness. So Krishna exists as the Chaitya Guru in everybody's heart. And so that was one important point which Srila Prabhupada makes, where he draws a delineation in terms of how Krishna is the spiritual master for everybody, and he's present both as internal as the Chaitya Guru and also externally as the physical Guru, and both are representations of Krishna. And in this verse, it's very important to see how the system or the social fabric at the time of Maharaj Prithu was like the prajas. The King Prithu Maharaj was the king for the entire world, and everybody in the kingdom were subjects, and they followed the king's orders. And here the king, being Prithu Maharaj, is actually a Raja Rishi, and he himself is a Sakti avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because of his instructions, the prajas were also able to follow the process of devotional service, and because of that, the kingdom is benefited because there is this devotional service being performed everywhere. So the head of the state here, the Prithu Maharaj, is taking this opportunity to thank those who are already in this taking to the process of devotional service, and because of them there is mutual benefit. So this goes on to say the humble nature of this of Prithu Maharaj. So here Prabhupada makes that he thanked them in a humble way for engaging in devotional service, and this goes on to say like how the leader leads by humility. And so there are a lot of instructions we can take from this, but few important points are the delineation between Chaitya Guru and the external Guru, and both being the representations of Krishna, and how Prithu Maharaj exemplified the humility, and he's thanking everybody for his citizens for being already practicing the devotional service. And in text 37, so this is a very powerful verse. Here, Srila Prabhupada talks about how the translation to this verse. Srila Prabhupada says like how Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are what qualifies one to be a Brahmana or a Vaishnava, and he says, and what are the spiritual assets of them, and how, and specifically he says that the Vaishnavas are the ones which are highest in the social order, and the so-called princely, the Kshatriyas, or the princely state, or the administrative class. So they should not impose their superiority over them because they are in such a highly elevated stage, and they should avoid offending them. So that's the translation. And here Srila Prabhupada explains about the offenses, or the aparadha, or the Vaishnava aparadh. And he says what is the topmost Vaishnava aparadh, which is the Guru aparadh, which is disrespecting the orders of the spiritual master. And secondly, he draws a very interesting parallel to how Durvasa Muni created Vaishnava Parad. And then Srila Prabhupada talks about what's the qualification of a Brahmana and what is the qualification of a Vaishnava. So just talking about the offenses, here, so Prithu Maharaj says to his prajas that one should be, even though the administrative class has the power, it doesn't mean that they have to enforce their power on the Vaishnavas, specifically because they are in the highest strata of the social system, because they are beyond this social order, because they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's the mood with which the kings were ruling at that time, because even though the Vaishnavas, they are very meek and humble, it's very easy for somebody with power to trample their authority on them. But here, the Prithu Maharaj is setting the example for the administrative class. Just because a Vaishnava is humble and meek, it is not to enforce the power, because creating that situation would be like an offense. And Srila Prabhupada here explains about the Guru Aparad, and he says that the topmost Aparad of the Vaishnava aparad is the Guru Aparad. And he says like how one should disobeying the orders of the spiritual master and blaspheming the Vedic literature are the top two first offenses. And I was looking at this verse and I was wondering, like, where is the word Vaishnava mentioned, right? So if you see the translation to this, it is the translation to the word Vaishnavas comes from Ajita Devatanam. And it's very clearly said about Vijanam. Vijanam means Brahmanas. But here, Srila Prabhupada is drawing the meaning for this word as Ajita Devatanam, as Vaishnavas. So I was wondering how, and if you see Ajita means one who cannot be conquered, Devatanam. So those who conquer the one who cannot be conquered are the Vaishnavas. So Krishna cannot be conquered by anybody because he's invincible. But the Vaishnavas, because of their love for Krishna, they are able to conquer him. So Prabhupada translates this and he says that only those who can win over the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the true Vaishnavas. So that's why Srila Prabhupada translates this as Vaishnava. So then moving on to this description of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So Srila Prabhupada very clearly explains what is Brahmana and what is a Vaishnava. The word Brahmana is coming from a Sanskrit etymology. It says Brahman Jnanati iti Brahmana. The one who knows Brahman, or the impersonal form, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called a Brahmana. So that's the qualification of a Brahmana. And in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, all the qualities of a Brahmana are explained. And here, Srila Prabhupada says that a Vaishnava is actually a superset. So Vaishnava can be a Brahmana, but a Brahmana cannot become a Vaishnava unless he has the transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we've seen this in multiple instances. One instance which came to my mind was Sukadeva Goswami. So Sukadeva Goswami was born. Even when he was born, he had realization of the impersonal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was in the Brahman platform. He was already self-realized, and he knew the Brahma. He was at the stage of Brahma Bhuta. But at that point, he didn't know about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So while he was going, there were a few of Vyasadev's devotees, students, who were actually talking about the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they were talking about the Putana story specifically. And just by hearing Ahobakiyam Kalakata Kutam. So that verse he heard, and because of that verse, his interest in the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead grew, and then he became a Vaishnava. So, and also we have examples of the four Kumaras, how they were basically Brahmagyanis, and just by smelling the tulasi leaves which is offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they became Vaishnavas. So the Vaishnava is a superset, and that includes Brahman realization as well. So Srila Prabhupada very clearly explains that and cautions everybody like how important it is to not offend Vaishnavas and be situated in the process of devotional service by offering respects to the Vaishnavas and being very careful not to commit any offenses at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. So those are some of the points here. This was a very a detailed and very elaborate purport by Srila Prabhupada, and a lot of points for us to take home. So, so with this, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much.